Morning, Shabbat Shalom, Shalom. How's everybody doing? Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. How is everybody doing? Let me share this link here so that you guys can come on into the room. My computer, I gotta get me a new computer, and I can't afford one right now, so I don't know how that's gonna work. Because this computer is going crazy. How is everybody doing? Let me share this on my screen here. Give me a second, guys. I'm just sharing this so everybody can come on into the room. How is everyone doing? All right, let me just share the link so sisters and brothers can come on in. All right. Righty. Good morning. I'm just waiting for y'all to come on into the room. Is it too early? It's 10 o'clock where I am. It is 10 o'clock where I am. 10 a.m. where I am. I don't know where you guys are. I'm on the East Coast. Okay. Is it too early for y'all? Is it too early? Listen, I'm an early bird, okay? Come on in the room. So this morning the topic is homeschooling, okay? Now, a lot of you guys might not find this topic to be of interest because it's not drama filled, you know. It's not a lot of drama going on. You know, a lot of our people are only interested when there's a lot of drama going on. So this is extremely important topic for our people, and it's very important to me. Should we be homeschooling our children? And when I say we, I mean our people, okay? Our people. Should we be homeschooling our children? I say yes. So this morning, we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to bring on a sister. She homeschooled her children, and she's going to explain to us. I'm going to ask her some questions, and she's going to explain to us the process. Hopefully, she has some good information to share with all of us today. You know, and hopefully to give you guys so that can, you know, for those of you who are thinking about homeschooling, to get you start in the process. She homeschooled her children, and so she's going to come on and give us some information on that. But before I get her on here, right, I want to, me personally, I mean, there's so many reasons why I think we should be homeschooling our children. And I'm going to attempt to share my screen here. My computer is acting crazy, but I'm going to attempt to share my screen and just give you guys some of the reason why I personally believe that we should be homeschooling our children. As a matter of fact, I was looking at, let me go on my phone here. I was looking at something here, and I was looking at the statistics here, and it was saying that, homeschool children are smarter than children who goes to public school. That's what it says here, and that's their statistics. You know, there are over 2.3 million homeschool students in the United States. That is, there were an estimate of 2.3 million in the spring of 2016. Okay, so I'm not going to read the entire article. It's a very long article. It says that one study showed that 32% of homeschool students are Black, Asian, Hispanics, and other. Okay, but according to the let me go back here. I think I lost it. But according to their research, I was trying to find the article. Business Insider, according to Business Insider, homeschool children are smarter than public school students. Now, here's some of the reason why I personally believe that we should be homeschooling our children. I'm going to attempt to share my screen here, even though my computer is acting up, but let me share my screen with you guys for a second, okay? Give me 1 second. Hopefully my computer doesn't go crazy. All right, so let's look at one reason why. Here, do you guys remember this story here where this little black girl, for the life of me, I don't understand why her parent decided to send her to some Catholic school, right? And no, that's a different story altogether. I don't know what, our people are doing too much, too much. But do you guys remember this little black girl right here who's crying? I'm going to try and play the video. There might be some commercials. I don't know. But you remember this young girl, she's 11 years old, and she went to school with her little braids, just like most black girls wear braids, right? We all do. That's a part of our culture. And she was kicked out of her school for being who she is, a little black girl, right? I'm going to try and play this video. If it doesn't play, then my bad, y'all. I'm sure a lot of y'all know the story. See, it's not playing. Let me see. All right. It's not working, but y'all remember this story. If you don't know this story, just go look it up. 11-year-old girl kicked out of Catholic school for wearing braids. All right.
Season is here.
I'm going to get out of that.
Things done, get a Ford. And if you're looking for the best deal of the
season. Okay, so now my computer is acting up. Okay, let's move on. Here's another image I want to show you guys here. This is in some school somewhere in Georgia Elementary School. And if you guys can see here, is an image of a bunch of black boys, right? With different haircuts. And this is in a classroom where the teachers or whoever responsible for these students in the classroom, they have taken pictures of these black boys and posted them up on the wall. And it says here, appropriate haircut, inappropriate haircuts. And they're pretty much showing you what's appropriate. And this is just typical haircuts for black boys, and these poor kids, their pictures are plastered in the classroom. And this is all black students. You don't see not one photo of a white child or any other child here. That's one reason why you need to be homeschooling your children. The discrimination of our children, when our children walk into the school with their hair that they were born with, and they can't even be comfortable with their hair that they were born with. They're being told you can't wear your hair like that. You can't groom yourself that way. Anyway, let's move on. And this is not only happening in America, guys. This here is in England. Okay, this beautiful, look at him. He's so handsome. Look at this beautiful black boy here. This kid was kicked out of school because y'all not gonna believe this. They said his haircut was too low. Yes, that was the excuse. His haircut was too low. They kicked him out of school in England. This is where he is, in England. Oh God, I cannot. In England. So it's all. This is a problem all over the world. Excuse me, guys. It's a problem all over the world, man. Our children are. Our people in general. We're just going through it all over. Our image is not accepted, and this is one reason why we should be homeschooling our children. I kid you not. We should be. Because this is ridiculous. His hair is too short. My computer is acting up again. Too short. So he was kicked out of school. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on from that before my computer start acting up. Give me 1 second, guys. Me 1 second. Okay. Pardon me, guys. I'm having some issues with this. All right. Here's another reason why we should be homeschooling our children. Let me read the article for you guys. Okay. According to this article here, school keep punishing girls, especially students of color, who report sexual assault. Okay, let me go down here and read a bit of this article for you guys. Early in the morning on November 7th, 2017, a teacher noticed a 14-year-old girl crying in the hallway at Carroll City High School in Miami-Dade County. The girl, who was later referred to in court papers as Jane Doe, reportedly told the teacher, "I think I was raped." Okay, so moments later, Doe went to the assistant principal office to tell administrator about the three boys who she said sexually assaulted her in a school bathroom. A school police officer questioned Jane Doe, a Latina ninth grader, and asked her to write a statement about what happened. Later that day, Carroll City School administrator decided that the event was consensual. So they decided that this little girl was lying, right? Well, not lying. They said that the sex between her and the three boys was consensual, even though she went and reported it. They suspended Jane Doe and the three accused boy for 10 days, noting that the student had violated rules against inappropriate sexual behavior. So this is what's happening. So let me just go down here and read some more. This is not the only location that this has happened to little black girl. Let me go down here. I'm going to read in several different locations where this has happened. The scenario that played out at Carroll City School mirrors cases around the country. A school in Piscataway, New Jersey, handed a 10-day suspension for disorderly conduct to a black girl who said she had been sexually assaulted on a school bus, right? That's one incident. That's another incident. Here's another one. After a girl in Tucson, I hope I'm saying that right, Tucson, Arizona, said that she had been raped, the school district suspended her for public sexual indecency. That's another incident. That's the third one, right? A Brooklyn, New York high school suspended a 15-year-old female black Hispanic student with well-documented developmental disability. So this is a child with disability who reported a sexual abuse, right? And who was sexually assaulted by a group of boys, according to the complaint, because administrator considered it consensual sexual conduct on school premises. So these are things. Listen, there are so many more of these incidences. I mean, I've watched and read so many of them. It's heartbreaking, and so that's another reason why your children should be homeschooled. I mean, let me read another one. Let me read another one here. Well, you know what? This is a video. Let me play this one for y'all. Let me play this one for y'all.
Truth TV News. I'm Vincent Rose, your host, and it looks like again the transgender community is making headway with kindergarten children. It says kindergarten boy instantly turns into a girl at school. And that happened, and when it did happen, it brought tears to the students. And it says classmates in tears over the fears of becoming transgender. Can you imagine frightening children into believing that they have to actually participate in this mess? Nature itself is against these people and these diabolical things that they're doing. I mean, can you imagine it? Now they're forcing these children to become transgender. It says the push to make children comfortable with transgender has reached disturbing new depths, with a California school promoting it to kindergartners by having a 5-year-old boy undergo a transitional ceremony in front of classmates. Yeah, LifeSiteNews.com reported that after the teacher introduced the 5-year-old student to the class as a boy, he then went back into the bathroom, and the teacher then reintroduced her to the children, explaining she was now a girl who had a girl's name and was to be called that from now on. The report said the ceremony traumatized some of the students, including girls who went home crying to their parents, asking if they were going to be turned into boys or turned into a boy. I mean, that's really not funny. It's sick, man. To think that they traumatize these kids. These kids have no ability to reason one thing to another. I mean, you know, there's learning.
All right, let's move on to this one here. This is an article here. Some of you guys may have remembered this. This is I'm just going to read this last article here, and then we're going to move on. Some of you guys may have remembered the little boy. I don't remember what age he was. If I can find it here, it's a little boy. He's an I think he's a preschooler. Let me see here. 2 years old. Yes, 2 years old. So the article says Black mother pulls her son from preschool after teacher allow him to parade around in a dress. Right? Those of you remember the father who posted the video on Facebook who went to his child's school and confronted the teacher because she had him dressed up in a dress after the child's mother confront the teacher, and she refused to, she pretty much just laughed at the child's mother. And so the child mom called the father over to the school, and the father went there and recorded the incident. And I'm not able to find a video on YouTube anymore. But so a Kansas mother is demanding answer after her son was allegedly allowed to wear a dress while playing dress up at school, right? Kayla Bedford, a stay-at-home mom. So the mother is a lesbian. That's another story all in itself. So she's a lesbian, and she have her 2-year-old. But she tell the teacher that that's not something that she's forcing her child into. Okay, so she was very clear about that. She said she went to the school and she spotted a little boy parading around in the classroom in a dress, right? And she pretty much told the teacher, and the teacher pretty much laughed at her. So I'm not going to go any further into that story there, but you guys got the picture, right? Okay, so let's go back over here. All right. Okay. So if those reasons are not reason enough for you to even consider homeschooling your children, I don't know what is. I mean, I'm just saying, we're living in hell and our children are suffering. The homosexual agenda that is being pushed down our children's throat. Okay. A little black girl was suspended from school because she refused to participate. This is in England. This was somewhere in Britain. She was suspended from school because she refused to participate in some type of homosexuality curriculum that they had in the classroom. Sorry, guys, I'm sipping on my tea. She said she's not interested in it, and she was suspended, right? So the rights are being taken away from the children in school, right? Your children have no rights in school. They're being forced to dress up. The little girls are being forced to dress up as boys. Boys are being forced to dress up as girls. The homosexual agenda is being shoved down their throats. Okay, so I'm just saying, just a few examples why we should consider this. I'm gonna bring in my sister Ebony. She's. Let me bring her on. Good morning, Shalom, Sister Ebony. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. You bringing out some good information.
Well, yeah, it's a lot more. It's a lot more. Let me tell you. Goodness gracious! Thank you for joining us. We've been trying to go on here for a while.
Yes, for a long time, but y'all be today. So hallelujah for that. Hallelujah.
Yeah. So, sister, do you want me to call you Ebony or Kadara?
Kadar is fun.
Okay. So our sister Kadara, she homeschooled her children, guys. You want to tell the sisters and brothers how many children you have, sister Kadara?
Yes, yes. I have 5 children. Their ages, three of my children are born in the month of October. So they'll be 9, 7, 5, 3, and I have a 1-year-old. He just turned 1 in the
All
summer.
right, all right.
Yeah, busy, busy.
Yeah, you've been busy, girl. All right, so there are families who have questions about homeschooling. Um, they don't know how to begin. They don't know where to begin, how to do it. So you have experience in homeschooling, so I'm going to ask you just some basic questions on about homeschooling. Well, first of all, could you tell us? Do you mind giving us a state that you live in? Because there might be other families in your state who might be considering it and just don't know how to go about it.
Yes, absolutely. So that was one of the things I was going to talk about is how each state has their own homeschool laws.
Right.
And I am in the state of Pennsylvania, and that is a highly regulated state. They require you to have an evaluation, to do a portfolio, have your child do testings in the 3rd, 5th, and 9th grade. And many other states don't do that. Many states, like New Jersey, if I'm correct, they don't have any homeschool laws. You can just do whatever you want. But even the highly restricted ones, like in Pennsylvania, are still pretty easy. They're still pretty lenient. The scores of your children don't determine if they can homeschool or not. You still can homeschool. They just require that proof that you are doing something in the home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so now, how does the process work, sis? How do you begin the process of homeschooling? Like,
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So that would be the first step to figure out which state you're in. And I have that website. Go to this website here. It's www.hslda.org.
let me write that down and type it in the
The browser
in
there.
the chat there. Are you able to type anything in the chat, sis?
Yes. Let
Yeah,
me
see if
see.
you can drop that in the chat.
Oh no, I can only see the chat. I can't type in it.
Oh, okay, okay. You said
Yeah.
www dot
Dot HSLDA
LG
dot
and Gary.
D as in Dan.
Oh, LDA
A
mhm,
.org.
.org. Okay.
And it's backslash laws. So LAWS. And that should pull up a map of the United States.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And
Okay.
then you'll click on your state and they'll let you know how regulated or not regulated that state is. And from there you can kind of make that decision with homeschooling, like how to move forward with that.
Okay.
So for the state of Pennsylvania, once you decide that you want to homeschool, you have to get an affidavit of what you plan on doing that year. And I can also send you that PDF as to what I fill out each year. And it's very vague.
Okay.
Sometimes dealing with these laws of the land, you know, there's ways to get around them without telling them all your business and just meeting the bare minimum.
Right.
So you'll say, like, I'm going to teach my children English by speaking to them English every day. Something very vague like that, and it's accepted. It's
Uh,
hilarious that it's even regulated. Yeah, yeah. Um, and then you have to get that notarized and sent to your the public school system in your area.
okay.
And then you'll receive a letter back saying that, okay, we got your letter, it's been notarized, and you can start homeschooling your children. And depending on what grade they're in, either 3rd, 5th, or 9th grade, you have to get testing done, which can be done at home, and it can be done anytime you want in the time frame that your child wants, and the scores don't matter. If your child fails their test, They just want the scores there. They want, it will not be held against you in the state of Pennsylvania.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's good to know.
Yes.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
Here's another question I have.
Okay.
And I think there's a lot of parents that are concerned about this. Is homeschooling difficult if you work outside the home? Do you have any answer for that?
I am currently a stay-at-home mom. My husband works, so I do have, that luxury of not having to work outside the home. But
Mhm.
I've had balanced businesses that I've had, um, that would be online. So I have to set out time to, make those things work and grow and to make money. Um, it is difficult. To say that it's not difficult will be a lie, especially as a single parent. But there are single parents that do homeschool their children. You have to almost, depending on what your goals are for your children, you have
Mhm.
to adjust their learning style to that. So if you're pulling your child out of school, they've already been in school for maybe 5 years, and you're pulling them out because you don't like what's going on in their school, you can simply sign them up for cyber school, because fifth grade, they're old enough to kind of be self-taught. So they can have a cyber school situation, where they're just following the curriculum at home. Now, if you don't like the curriculum of the cyber school, which is usually just a public school at home, you can just tweak your own thinking and tweak your own mind, and knowing that I'm taking them out and I'm going to be in control of what I want them to know. And I wanted to bring out this scripture real quick since we're on that topic. It's found in the book of Deuteronomy. It's chapter 6, verses 6-7. It says, "And these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart, and you shall impress them upon your children, and speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up." And a lot of times we get so caught up in wanting our children to be so smart, so privy to the worldly knowledge, but we forget about the spiritual knowledge that we want them to have. So when you have that key component, yes, hallelujah. When you have that key component that you're teaching them the laws, statutes, and commandments of Yah, that is far, that the knowledge far exceeding this earthly knowledge. So when you can
Uh,
fix it to that, tweak your mind to that, it makes things a lot easier. It made it
yeah.
easier for me. Hmm.
Yeah. Con. Yeah. So then you just answered the other question I was going to ask you. You pretty much. I was going to ask you if you think it's difficult to homeschool if you're a single parent. Now, let me. If there are any single parents out in the chat there that are watching, if you are a single parent and you homeschool, I would like to have you on here in a few to kind of just give us your experience as a single parent and how you go about homeschooling your child as a single parent. That would be nice. Sister
And then I want
Kamala.
to add to that. I just want to add to that real quick. I know a lot of people who want to homeschool and they haven't figured out their footing as to how to go about doing that, and they're single parents. But they make sure when they get their children from school, they're asking them questions. They're making sure they understand what they're being taught in there and correcting anything that is being said to them from school. So there's still ways to get on that avenue of homeschooling, because homeschooling sometimes can be like, you think you have to have your child all the time, which is the best way, but still being in your child's life before they go to school and being very involved when they come home from school, saying, this is who we are, this is what we represent. I don't care what they say out there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, next question I had to ask you, how do you decide what curriculum to teach the children? Like, how do you decide what to teach them?
Yes. So my main focus is stemmed from that scripture that I read in the book of Deuteronomy. Um, we rely heavily on the Bible to be our main scope of the curriculum. Um, So we'll do handwriting. For instance, you can make your own handwriting sheets, and I will pull a scripture and have like my children literally write out chapters of the
Okay.
Bible. Yeah, so that they'll get their handwriting in that way. Um, um, but then I want to talk about too. I'm sorry, different styles. So if you are dabbling in homeschool, you'll hear people say cyber school. You'll hear them say unschooling. You'll hear them say different types of homeschooling, because a lot of people are trying to do the unschooling thing where they don't use any books. They rarely write down anything. They just say that the world is their classroom. So what they'll do is they'll go out into the world and they'll go shopping with their mother or their father. And then they'll talk about how to use money. This is how we use money to buy things. This is how you weigh food to figure out how much it is per pound, per ounce. So it can be literally whatever you want it to be. If you happen to graduate with a math degree and you love math, you may do a little bit more math with your children because that's what you love to do.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you are an herbalist, if you love herbs, you will be teaching your children what these plants look like, how to extract oils from these plants, and they will just have that privy knowledge. It's kind of like back in the day when a person they had an automotive business, their children just naturally got that job handed down, that business handed down, because their parents knew about automobile. It's the same thing. So whatever you're really interested in and you want them to know, you can just teach them that, and they'll just carry that on and keep going. But there are a few people that do use cyber schools, and I will say cyber school is simply public school at home. So if you don't want that information, don't do it that way, but it's an option if you feel like you want them to get, maybe modern history or things like that. And those cyber schools are typically free. They're typically free. Yeah. Yeah. Because cost is usually a thing that comes up with people in homeschooling. Like, can I afford it?
Right.
Yeah. And it can be as expensive as you want it to be or as cheap as you want it to be.
Right.
I have a printer. I have a laminator. We do a lot of printing. So I buy ink probably about 4 or 5 times a year. I'm buying ink and I print my own materials and I'll laminate them so I can use them for my next child. So I'm not just printing and just kind of throwing away that paper. I'm laminating it. I'm putting it in protective sheets so I can use it for my children because I have 5. So just printing willy-nilly is just not a thing that I can do.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. I have a girlfriend in New York. She has 6 girls, and she homeschooled all 6 of them, and they got scholarship now to go to college.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire school administration were just floored at how well educated her 6 children are. I think they're going to be in some news crew or getting ready to interview the girls and all that stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
and that's the opportunity you have too when you homeschool. Say if your child is showing accelerated interest in learning, you can take college credits as a 15-year-older, as a 16-year-old, instead of taking, staying in a place where you're not being challenged and pushed, and you're just the child's bored and seen as having ADHD, which when they're typically gifted, they could be taking those college courses. So by time, and that for free.
Yeah.
And then by the time they're ready to go continue their learning, they've already got a lot of those prerequisites out of the way, and they're graduating earlier and having less debt if they don't go to school with scholarships.
Right. Yeah. Here's another question I have to ask, and this is a very important question. It's a very important question, and I really have to ask this question because it's just something I see. Here's the question, right? For parents who are not good with grammar, but want to homeschool, how do they make sure that the children are learning if the parents themselves are not good at reading and writing? Because I got to keep it real, sis. There are a lot of parents who have difficulties with words, spelling, reading, writing, grammar. So I've always wondered, how are they helping the children with the homework if they themselves don't know how to formulate a sentence, put a sentence together? You know, they're not good with grammar. They don't know the difference between THEIR, THERE, so on and so forth. So how does that work?
Okay, so there's a few layers to that question. One, depending on your state, you do have to have, not that it really matters, but you do have to have either a GED or a high school diploma.
The
So say it again.
the parents has to have
Yes,
a high school,
the
right?
parents do. Now we know a lot of people can slip through the cracks and they don't have that information, but that's one layer to kind of frame the mindset of that parent. But then secondly, usually people who want to homeschool have a certain level of intellect with them. They have a certain level of like greatness within them, right? So they'll they're going to be open to learning with their child. Now, I started homeschooling my children from birth. Um, you know, from the moment that they could walk, from the moment I got certain puzzles for them, I would read to them, I would do certain things with them. So it's always been a continuous thing for me.
Right.
But as my children get older, you realize that there's certain things that you don't think about. You remember learning them and you know them, but you don't apply it really every day to your life because it's not that important. When
Right.
you're homeschooling your younger children and you have certain workbooks that you are going to get because you may not be as good at in it as you think you are in some other things. For instance, science, I'm not into science. We bought herbal books and we have an anatomy book, and I'm learning with my children. I'm literally learning, relearning a lot of the things with them, and I'm able to see it with an adult mind and have this clarity and be like, okay, I know this. I understand this. I remember seeing this. Now I have this experience and wisdom behind it. Now I know how to reteach it to my child, even though I may have not learned it the best when I was younger.
Right. Right.
And then to add to that, if um what is something I put my child in with a reading tutor. I
Okay.
got him. I did testing on him, and he was falling slightly behind. And I was able to say, okay, there's something that I am not doing correctly. So I'm going to get him a reading tutor. And just in 6 months, he was back on level. They had certain tricks and tips that I, as not being a professional teacher, you right, didn't know how to use, but they taught me to teach him. And now we're back as to where he needs to be. So, you know, if you don't know, be humble and be like, you know, I'm not that great in this area, and
Right.
get a tutor or go to YouTube because there's a YouTube video literally for everything,
Everything
right?
on YouTube. I keep
Right?
telling people that. Cooking, dancing, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, YouTube Academy, right? Go to YouTube
Hmm.
and but be humble. You know, be like, I'm not the best writer. I'm not the best reader. Let me
Right.
go outsource and get someone to help my child because that's what I want. I want the best for my child. And most people who are homeschooling, like I said, they have this certain level of like higher intellect to know those things. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's how I would answer that.
Good. That's some good information there. That's some good information. Uh
Be discouraged. You can do it. Don't be discouraged. You know, just
right.
take the first step, take them out of the school, and you'll realize that your child, like, okay, my child's been in school for 3 years and I'm talking to you about something you don't know that. Then you'll realize, like, okay, they wasn't even taught enough. Like, I thought
Right.
y'all was learning this. You know what I mean? So just take the first step if you can to pull them out and just teach them to be decent people too. You know, sometimes people don't even put that out there. They want them to be so knowledgeable and so
Yes.
fluently spoken. Like,
Right.
teach them to be honest. Teach them to have integrity. Have
Mm,
teach them have that be the foundation
yes.
of your homeschool.
Con.
Yeah.
Con.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Joel Benjamin 528. Welcome to the room, my brother. All right. Um,
Excuse me.
I have another question for you. I guess this is a question that some people are concerned about. Does homeschooling affect the children socially in regards to how they interact with children outside the home? Like, how does that affect their social skills? Being
Yes.
home, and not outside interacting with other children every day.
Yeah, socialization, that is the biggest, most popular question that we get as homeschoolers too. Um, I have a unique situation. I have a big family,
Right.
and sometimes people don't want to count this, but we socialize with each other, right? All the time on a very
Right.
basic level, right? So if you only have one child and you're staying in a house all day versus I have five and we stay in the house all day, we still have different personalities. We still have different um, ways that we go about problem solving with each other. One of the great things about homeschooling is that it what is the word? It reflects the real world a lot better than being in school. When
Right.
a children is in the third grade, they're in a classroom with a whole bunch of third graders. That's not
Right.
really the workforce. When you're in the workforce, you're going to work with people who are older than you. You're going to work with people who are younger than you.
Right.
So, just from that basic aspect, that family structure that we have, we socialize with each other and how to problem solve and deal with different people, different ages, and different sexes. So then, to take it outside the home, there, at least in the state of Pennsylvania and in the city of Pittsburgh, there are so many homeschool groups, from free groups that are at the library. You can
Mhm.
meet up with other homeschool families. They have arts and science classes. They have free instrument classes. They do field trips. We're a part of this homeschool phys ed class that they go to the zoo twice a year for free. You can just,
Nice.
yeah, you can go, but it's a whole bunch of other homeschool families too. So they have different family structures. They may have some teenagers in their family. I don't have teenagers in my family, so my children get to expose to older children and see how they act in a public place. Uh, so there's that, but then there's also co-ops. Co-ops is basically parent-led groups that teach other people's children. So we started a Hebrew co-op here in Pittsburgh, and what we do, we have four parents and we each have five children, which is hilarious in itself. So the numbers, the ratio is already crazy, but we come together once a month to learn together. So a lot of that time is, it may be tour based, and sometimes it may just be whatever, has someone's interest. The one mom taught my children how to build circuits. I would have never done that. I have no interest in building circuits, but that's what we did as a group. We came together.
Right.
She taught them, and we're socializing together. So there's many different ways to go about socializing your children when you're homeschooling. The Pittsburgh public school system here does allow the homeschoolers to be a part of the band. They also involve them to be in the chorus. So you can do after school activities or during the school activities with your public school system if you choose to, but they're not learning there. They're just using those free resources that they have access to. So there's many ways. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I know in New York City, I don't really know the laws in New York City, but you can homeschool in New York. Somebody mentioned New York City, um, a Mama Nora. Um, I don't really know, but I do have a friend that lives in New York City and she homeschool all of her children. It to me it seemed pretty simple, but she does have a husband, so I don't know how that plays a role in how easy it is for her. Um, if I was asking earlier if there is any single mom or dad in the chat who is homeschooling currently and would like to share your experience with us, and maybe that would help somebody else who is a single parent, to consider homeschooling. Just join. Let me put the. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. If you are a single parent and you homeschool, we'd like to hear how you do it. So let me just put the link in the chat there. There it is. There it is right there if you'd like to join us. I don't really have any more question for you, Sister Kodara, but is there anything that I'm missing that you might want to share with us on this topic?
I'm gonna take a look at my notes. Let me see. I do want to talk about the timing of homeschooling, because typically when your child goes to school, they are away for about 8 hours. And you don't need that much time to homeschool your children. So usually in the traditional school, they need that time because there's so many children per teacher.
Right.
They have recess, they're feeding them lunch, X, Y, and
Mhm.
Z. But a lot of times those children get bored and they get really tired, for a child to be away for that long, to do that extended learning and to come home and do homework, right?
Right.
So in our homeschool, we typically homeschool from 9 a.m. to about 1 p.m. And that's all the time that my children need. And if they get a topic, you don't have to keep repeating it over and over. You present the topic to them, they get the idea, they get it quickly, move on. They don't understand it that well, do it again the next day. They get it the next day, you move on. It doesn't have to be some dragged out
I
long day.
know. We all
Yeah,
been to school, girl, and we hated school. I mean,
yeah,
let's just keep it real. I hated school. I hated math, and then it's like a whole couple hours of math, and then you got to go home, and I think the whole 8 hours of school, like you said, it's really it's not necessary. It really isn't, and
yeah.
and that's why a lot of our children are failing, because they're sitting there in class, they're bored out of their mind, and they're not learning anything.
Not Yeah. And then learning styles. Not every child learns the same way. So
Right.
a child may want to touch things. I need to touch this. I need to smell it. I need to feel it. Versus a child who's like, I don't need to do all of that. If you just read it to me, or if I can read it myself, I'll get it. So you'll be able to see, even my 5 children are so vastly different. I just wish they were all the same and make my life easier. But they're different in that way. I have to teach them all differently, and me recognizing that as their mom, as their teacher, that's how I need to teach them. But then I wanted to talk about homeschooling rooms. A lot of times people get discouraged. I don't have enough space. I am in a 2-bedroom apartment. I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment. I don't have an extra room to dedicate to homeschooling, and you don't need that. I want to reassure you, we do a lot of our homeschooling in our living room. I write at our dining room table. We get our books out. They write what they need to write. They read what they need to read, and we just put it away. You don't need an elaborate space. Some people do. If you have the extra space, dedicate an extra room to homeschooling. I think it's good to get children separated from their everyday living. I found that my
Mhm.
young sometimes they might get, a little antsy because they see the TV in the living room, so they might want to watch it. But I would cover it with a sheet and be like, okay, we're learning now. This is our learning time. This is our school time. So they know, okay, the sheets over the TV, we're not watching that right now. So you just kind of got to get creative
Right.
uh, with your
Somebody
family.
has a question for you, sis.
Okay.
Sister Amawana wants to know, do you give them tests every week like they do in school?
Oh, absolutely not.
No?
Absolutely not. No, 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 no.
Oh.
Um, for now, my child, my oldest one is 9. So some people may feel a little differently for older children. So that means
Mhm.
he's 3rd grade. I don't feel like he needs tests every single week. We go through materials together.
Mhm.
And I let him go through materials by himself. You can call that a test if you want. I let him do it by himself and I check it, and then we go over it together. But it's no grading system. There's no okay, here's a timer, here's this isolated space, take this test. If you fail, you get an F. If you pass, you get an A. There's no grading. So do I test him to make sure that he understands the material that we went over? Yes, I guess in a very loose way, not in a grading system way where I have to keep up with grades. Now when your children gets older and they decide that they want to continue their education and go to college, you will want to weight your classes. You will weight your classes and then give them a grade so that they can have a transcript for college.
Okay.
That would be a decision you have to make for yourself, because a lot of homeschool people don't plan on sending their children to college. They think it's a waste of time. They rather send them to a trade
A
school
trade school.
or something like that. So you have to make that decision for your family.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Our brother has a question for you, Brother Yasha Arla. How do you avoid the state saying you are contributing to childhood delinquency and then taking your children follow you? I don't understand the last part of that question, but yeah, how do you avoid the state saying you're contributing to childhood delinquency? Childhood delinquency.
Yeah, I would be curious as to what states he's in and see if that's like a heavily regulated state, and if they had an issue with. I've never heard of a state being that involved, because in the state of Pennsylvania, and if you go to that website and you look at that map, they color code it, and they have Pennsylvania as in red. It is highly highly regulated state, and all they require is a portfolio done at the end of the year, and it can be literally whatever you want it to be, literally whatever's in there. You can grab stuff that they just did from the beginning of the year and just plug it in there. It doesn't have to be this beautifully constructed portfolio. It could be anything, and they want you to meet up with the teacher, and they'll take a look at that and they'll sign it off, and you send that back to the school system saying that we completed a portfolio, it was evaluated by a teacher, and we want to homeschool for the next year. It's that simple. I've never heard of anyone being called delinquent in their.
Oh, you know what? I think the brother was saying, how do you avoid the state saying you're contributing to childhood delinquency and then taking your children away from you? That's the question. I haven't heard of, you know what? There might be a few cases where the state have taken the children away from the parents because they're homeschooling, but I don't know what the details.
I remember. Yeah, I remember, I think it was like last year, that California family who was homeschooling, and they were doing all these crazy, cruel things to their children. And a lot of people were trying to say, like, homeschooling is bad. They need to have state officials checking in on the homeschooling families and making sure that they're not doing anything. But I would just make sure whatever your state laws are, you are following them to a T. I am a huge advocate of taking pictures of my children in public spaces. When we go somewhere, this is where we were. We were at this homeschool meetup that focuses on arts and science. I'm putting that into my portfolio. I'm not going to give anyone a case to say that I am not
right
to teach my children. In the years to come, if they make it more rigorous and strict, I can't speak to that. But right now, just make sure you're following the laws for the homeschooling laws in your state as close knit as possible. Don't give them any more. Just give them exactly what they're asking for,
right,
and provide the proof that you're doing it. That's
right.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have a question for Sister Kadara? And do we have any single parent who homeschool in the chat right now? We would love to hear from you if you're a single parent who is homeschooling. Okay. Did you have anything else to to tell us, sis?
Just be encouraged. Don't let overthinking clog your judgment into homeschooling. It's a beautiful thing. It has its ups and downs. When you get in this homeschools community, you'll talk to other homeschool moms and be like, oh my goodness, you're going through that too. Our homeschool dads, because they're all our homeschool dads. You're going through that too. You'll be like, okay, I'm not alone in this. This is what's going to happen. And Yah ordained it for us to do this for our children. He wants us to be in control of what they know and what's being put into them. Build that foundation into them, so when they are ready to go out into the real world, they're prepared. They know what to expect. They know the truth, and they know what a lie looks like. So be encouraged. Y'all can do it.
And you mentioned a good point. If there is somebody who doesn't know doesn't understand the process, get with a family, in your area, and maybe you guys can come together and homeschool together, and maybe you can, form a friendship with like-minded people who are homeschooling in your state, in your town. And I mean, even if you have to go to work, at least find people you could trust and have them, you know, somewhat come together and homeschool and help you homeschool the children, right? I mean,
Yeah.
the people coming together.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the
New
starting block
websites
of
and
building a
Mhm.
community. It's the starting block of building a community.
Yeah,
You just never know what is going to stem from there. But yeah, put yourself out there. Maybe Malika, you can make a another post, and people who are homeschooling, just put the state that you're in and the city that you're in, and you might be surprised that there's already people in the
yeah,
group homeschooling. Yeah.
right.
Hmm.
Somebody wants to know, do you pay any website setup for homeschooling? Do you pay any website setup, sis?
Um, you can if you want to. Wait, pay website to set up homeschooling. Um, no, in the state of Pennsylvania, there is free homeschooling educations, cyber schools. They're all free.
Yeah, I don't
They're
think there's, yeah, I think all this stuff,
yeah,
a lot of it is free.
state funded. Yeah. But if you want to build your own curriculum, say if you like, you want to do your own thing, you may have to come out of pocket for some of those websites. They may give you a box system where they send you all the books, they send you everything you need for the science kits and things like that. You will pay like one lump sum, or you can be a member of a homeschooling community that has continuous things that are shipped out, kind of like a Hello Fresh situation. There are homeschool systems like that you would pay for, but nothing you have to do.
Right,
Get creative. It like literally for free. You might pay for paper and ink, but other than that expense, you can do this really with no cost.
right.
Hmm.
12
Yeah.
tribes, children of Israel have a good point here. It says every camp should have a homeschool in it. No excuses. I have to say I agree with you. I have to say I agree with that. I think if we, whatever camp or school you belong to, I don't know, set up something. If you, especially if you guys are close, it's hard sometimes when
You're
the
far.
members in the camp live far away from each other. It's really difficult. So it really depends on the camp. It
Yeah.
really,
And
yeah,
it doesn't have to be a big thing. A lot of times people get caught up in the whole visual and wanting something established. But even if it's one family homeschooling per camp, let that family be the wealth of knowledge as to how other members can get started. And from
yeah.
there, it can grow. It can grow. Yeah, absolutely.
Mama Nora, you put your email here. Do you want to? You said email me. Are you trying to get in on the chat, sis, or are you trying to get in? Well, let us know if you have something to say, sis. All right. I'm not going to stay much longer because I do have to go somewhere. But sis, I want to thank you. That was a lot of information you give. Um, cool. That was a lot of information you just give, and hopefully, somebody out there is able to take this information if they were considering
Yeah.
homeschooling the children. That's a big thing for me. When I have children, I would love to homeschool. I don't. I mean, I get nervous even thinking. Let me say, even thinking about sending my child. Go. What it is this: going to school back home in the Caribbean is different from what I see here, because you're going to school with children who look like you know, and it wasn't so difficult as it is what I'm seeing here. The stuff that are being shoved down your throat here. You go to school to learn. And the teachers were more interested in you learning. You know what I mean? The teachers would come and sit with you. I mean, the experience is so much different. I mean, I don't know what it is now, but I'm saying back in my days when I was in school, it was so different than what I see now. And I feel like children are not even learning anything in school. it's just, I don't know. And kids are being diagnosed with ADHD in these schools, and then they're putting special ed and all this stuff. It can't be so many black children, especially our black boys, in these schools that are being told that they're slow or disruptive, and then they're being tested and given all type of medication.
Yeah.
That's no way to live, and that's no way to and a lot of our parents are falling for this madness, are allowing their children to be on these medication.
You
It's
know what?
bad.
Someone told me one time, if you decide to send your children to school, you're agreeing to the partnership with the school system and yourself. You're agreeing that what they're doing over there is what you want for your children.
Yeah,
And when they said that to me, I was like, I don't
pretty much what
agree
it
with
is.
any of that. Yeah, it's a partnership for your child, and you agree to everything that they say because you're in that partnership with them. And then another person told me that the school systems is built for little white girls. The whole frame of it is to encourage little white girls. So even white boys have trouble in this system. So you know that our little black boys and little black girls are going to have trouble because that's not how we learn. We don't learn like them. They're completely different people. Like, we don't learn like that. So they're always going to say that we're disruptive. And it's like, and then when a person brings their child out of school, they're like, oh, you just need this. You didn't need this medication. You just needed to be in a space where you can run around a little bit. That's how you learn with your body. So yeah, get out, y'all.
Yeah.
Get out. Mm-hmm.
Mm. Oh, somebody's saying it's changing the Caribbean now, huh? Yeah, things are changing. Things are changing. Wow, it's no longer about the children. It is what it is. It's the world we're living in. Oh well. Thank you, sis, for having, for letting us have you. Thank you. We appreciate it. Hopefully, everyone that's on today learned something and are encouraged to homeschool their children. That's very important. That's very important for our community, man. We cannot allow our children to go into these schools and our little black boys are being forced to wear dresses. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh,
I mean,
it's
if you,
crazy.
I'm
You know,
convinced after that.
they have these things now where they call it drag day in school or something like that, where the kids are being forced to dress in drag now, and that's a part of. It's like you have to do it in some schools, otherwise, you're being disruptive and all this nonsense.
It's even the libraries sometimes aren't even safe. They have drag time story hour at our library, and it's like, really?
Oh yes, that's a big thing in the library. Yes, yes.
Yeah, so yeah, you just it's tough out here. Yeah.
Sister Amawana says she have a question. Do other people ask for you to homeschool their children? I think that's a question for you, sis.
Every day. I feel like I get that question. Maybe not every day. Maybe like every month I'm getting that question. Someone wanted to pull their child out of school and they wanted me to homeschool their child. And I have 5 and my youngest is 1. I am just not built for that. And we homeschool and we don't homeschool like on a schedule either. Some days we wake up and it's a beautiful day. We're not writing anything that day. We're going outside.
Outside, right.
We're digging holes, we're climbing trees,
Hey,
so
yeah.
yeah. But it would be nice one day, we talked about camps and congregations coming together. It would be nice to teach, every day, maybe a few times a week, other people's children, because I would like to be an asset and to help other
I
families.
would ask you if that's something you want to consider, because if there's another mom or dad who's struggling, with work and they want some help with homeschooling, is that something that you might consider helping out maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. We started a co-op, and that's what we want to do. We started a co-op where we only meet once a month, but we would love to do it once a week where we're meeting up, and hopefully then that expanding to 2 or 3 times a week. But like everything, we want it to be a great experience, so it takes money. You know, you need a building, you need space, you need resources to make it to a little bit more established, but not even resources to make it rigorous. And we want the children sitting down. Like, we want to go places, we want to go do things with children and have means of transportation. A lot of these families
Right.
that don't even have a way to get their children here, so I will have to go get them. So it's like we have to
Mm,
figure out a way to meet each other in the middle. But I would love to.
right.
Like, I think I was born to do this. I don't even think I realized that this is what I wanted to do when I was younger. But now that I'm in it, y'all has showed me like this is my gift. This is where I need to be. This is what I want to do for Yasharala. Like that's what I'm supposed to do.
Con.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. 12 Tribes says, I was in special ed when I didn't need it. It messes me up for life. I still think I can't do certain things. Man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our
Yes.
children are getting the short end of the stick. When I
Yes.
say our children, I mean so-called black children. Our children are getting the short end of the stick, you know, as
Yeah.
far as school in this country is concerned.
Yeah.
Ah,
Those first few years are so critical. I don't think even people realize it, even with their parenting styles, like how you speak to your children when they're young. It's so critical because they take that in and they carry it with them. And a
right.
lot of times people see a child misbehaving when they're really wanting attention. They really just want someone to notice them and to see them. And you're seeing it as, oh, they're always wanting to be in someone's face, or oh, they just get on my nerves, or they're doing this to me. And it's like, oh man, chill out, like relax. They
Mm.
just want some time with their mom. They want some
Yeah.
time with their dad. They need a hug. It's really those
God.
simple things, those teeny tiny things that we overlook. And it's, yeah, it shapes their future. It shapes everything for when they get older. It changes everything.
Con.
Mhm.
Um, my advice to the parents who have difficulties with, reading, writing, spelling, grammar, and all that stuff, like Sister Kadara says earlier, um, don't feel ashamed, but you also have to admit that you're having difficulties in this area. Go on YouTube. There is a black gentleman on YouTube. I don't remember his name. And he's an English teacher. And he's very good with grammar and spelling and reading and writing, and he will take you through a whole sentence and break it down for you. I mean, a lot of these people are on YouTube that can help you with your challenging, challenges, and so you can help your children. For those of you who are considering homeschooling but have a bit of challenge with in this area of reading, writing, and so on and so forth, go to YouTube, man. Go to YouTube.
Yeah. And many people see it as a flaw, for you to show your children that you don't know things. But it's to the contrary. Like, if you show your child that even as an adult, you're
Hmm.
still learning and there's more to know, it's humbling. Like, they'll always have this in their mind, like, I don't know everything. There's
Right.
no pride in what I know. Like, if I know something and I just know it forever. Like, no, you're continuously learning. So
Learning, right.
be transparent with your
And
children.
you and your children can learn together.
Yeah, you can learn together,
Right.
right? There's so many. I mean, there's stories out there where they homeschooled their child, they excelled past what their parents knew, and it and encouraged their parents to go back to school, and they ended up getting their associate's degree.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, even if that's not what you're trying to aspire, but their children inspired them to further their education. So be
Exactly.
transparent. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So if nobody else wants to come on and have anything to say, and anybody else have any question for Sister Kadar before we go, I'm about to close out the live. Anybody else have a question for the sister before I go? All right. If not, I want to thank you, Sister Kadar, for joining me today. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And you brought some good information here. You did. If you're late to the chat, after we end the chat, you can just and hit the like button. Come on, guys, hit the like button. When you're hitting the like button, other people can see this topic and get some this information that the sister just shared with us this morning. Okay, so if you're in the room, hit the like button. It only take just a quick second to hit the like button. All right. If you're just coming in the room, we're gonna end the live. You can just go back and watch the video. She did bring out some good information for those of you who are considering homeschooling your children. All right, that's what this topic is about. So thank you again, sis, for joining me. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for creating the platform. I can only imagine the blessing this is to someone's family. So thank you for creating this.
You're welcome, sis. And you're welcome on this platform anytime you have something to share with us. You're welcome on here. And you know, listen, this platform is called Sisters of the Maccabees. And it's not just for sisters, just because it's named sisters. Brothers, you guys have something to share. You're welcome on this platform as well. All right, as long as it's going to benefit our people. Okay. All right. So again, so thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it.
No problem. Shalom.
All right, shalom. All right, guys, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it, and I am going to end the chat if you guys don't have any more questions. All right, so shalom. Have a blessed Shabbat, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.